Yes, us. Welcome to the Kefi Life Podcast. My name is Kiki Vale, and I'll be your guide to creating a life of Ola Kala, all is well. Together, we'll get back to the basics, and we'll explore fresh new ways to flourish in mind, body, and soul the Greek way. You can look forward to interviews, stories, essential self-care strategies, recipes, and actionable takeaway Ola Kala moments. This is going to be so much fun. Let's get going. Πάμε! Our Lexi for today is Extrateia, or expedition. Planning for an Extrateia, or expedition, takes strategy, structure, and organization. The expedition is really a journey of growth, and because this endeavor will be a chunk of your life that you want to preserve, I suggest logging your adventures along the way as to keep Extrateia, or expedition, in your heart forever. Eleolado, olive oil, has been celebrated in the civilized world for millennia, nearly eternal. The oil of this fruit has been more than just food to the cultures of the Mediterranean region. It's been medicinal, ceremonial, sacramental, and the foundation of great wealth and power. It is safe to say that olive oil is the ethos, the essence of Greek culinary culture. Today, the priceless and life-giving ingredients of this liquid gold can be delivered to you when you purchase your premium bottle of Kefi Life extra virgin olive oil from the region my parents were born, the Peloponnese. The coveted Koroneiki olive is extensively cultivated here in the southern part of Greece, which offers the unique microclimate needed to grow a fruit netting the utmost nutrient value for extra virgin olive oil. Kefi Life extra virgin olive oil, a boundless amount of value, high in antioxidants with anti-inflammatory properties, linked to good mood and improved mental health. Get your bottle of wellness today when you visit kefilife.shop. It's obvious that moving and physical activity are vital to staying healthy and well in the mind, body, and soul. But today, during Kefi Life, we take activity to a whole new level and mindset. We're about to learn about adventure activity and how it will make a positive difference, or it can make a positive difference in your life. Here with us to share information about adventure and activities and putting all that together is an adventurous person himself, and I can attest to that from his recent and current expeditions, which I cannot wait to hear all about. Let's meet Charlie Marks. How are you?
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Charlie. It's so good to see you on screen after so many years.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been great. Yeah.
Good. I'm happy to hear it. Well, I want the audience to know that we connected because you sent me a picture of you preparing or running in a half marathon in Alaska, and you were repping a Kefi Life hoodie. I love it, and thank you, by the way.
Yeah, totally. The Kefi kept me going through that whole run, so I needed it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, Charlie, you are a student. You are learning, and you are going to be working in the area of adventure. Well, your degree is adventure education, but what is the profession called? And tell us what it entails.
Right. Yeah. So the degree is in adventure education, and sort of the field you go into working with that sort of degree is the outdoor industry. And there's a pretty wide base of, jobs within that industry, just like anything else. You could, be a river guide or a general outdoor guide, just kind of leading groups and people and students, through different activities in the outdoors or expeditions. And that's kind of, they all kind of have different titles wherever you go, but generally thinking of it as like an outdoor guide.
This reminds me of a hike that my family and I just did. We were in the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and we all did a hike, and the hike was called Path of the Gods. And it gave us the opportunity to stay active and also see the coast. And it was absolutely electrifying because why? We were moving, but we were also viewing some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. Is this kind of like adventure activity?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Going on hikes is totally an adventure activity. When you say adventure activity, I kind of just think of, I think you can do that in a lot of different ways, but for me, a key part of it is getting outside, right? Like you have to be out in nature. And then the activity can kind of be any sort of way that you're using your body, or perhaps like an implement, a tool, like maybe a bike or a boat or climbing gear or anything like that, to kind of support your travel and existence in different ways in the outside, in the outdoors. So I think that's what kind of makes it an adventure activity. And you can really scale that to, really extreme levels, like on expedition or mountaineering trips where you're out for days on end on the side of a mountain, just like working your way up using a bunch of different gear. Or, you can just go on a hike. And I really think you get similar experiences from both of them.
And then I know I feel this, and I think most people might agree with it, but when you're outside, you get extra endorphins. You're under the sun, the weather, just something about that oxygen outdoors just invigorates me. And that might be a part of what is so good for us. So that's really what I want to talk to you today about, is how adventure activity can healthfully benefit people listening.
The list is like kind of endless for me. Just beyond, I think everyone can experience that. Just going outside, whether it's just for like a 20-minute walk, just getting some fresh air, that's good for people. It kind of can help clear our heads and everything like that. And then when you start to, go into larger trips like that, whether you're going for like a day hike or you're going backpacking for a few days on end or even longer, like weeks or something, I think those effects just kind of compound. And just being outside, it's funny because it's not always like necessarily a fun time. You could be out there and it could be cold and it's raining, and the views, after a certain point, the views are great, but after a certain point, you're like, okay, whatever, like, cool, it's cold, let's go. But there's something about that kind of just like, you're out in the cold or the rain, and then you come back to your home or wherever your shelter is, and it's just, you're so much more appreciative of everything around you, and everything, that the small things just become that much better. And yeah, you just kind of feel more in touch with the world around you because you're just exposed to the weather. Like normally we don't think of anything. You don't even notice when the wind changes, but when you're out for days on end and like the elements are kind of like your map in a way, you notice the small things. And there's really like an unspoken connection and like a subconscious sort of connection you develop when you're just out there for days.
Interesting. That is interesting. So, which brings me to this question, because I don't know a lot about Alaska. I've never been there, and that's where you are. So what took you there? And I want to know everything about it, like the climate, the people, the food, et cetera. But let's start with, what are you doing there?
Yeah, right now I'm doing a course here, essentially. I'm studying at a school here currently, Alaska Pacific University. I'm studying at the Outdoor Studies program. And so I've been here since this summer, since August. And it is really, and what brought me here is because I don't really have a good answer for it. It's just Alaska. And I think as like someone in this field, I wanted to expose myself to some extreme places. And Alaska is absolutely one of them. And I think extreme is a good way to describe Alaska, because really everything is just a little bit more extreme here. Even when you're just going out on a walk, you bring bear spray, you bring bear protection, you bring protection from the elements, because, unlike most of the places where we live, you're not the top predator, or like you're not on the top of the food chain here. And it's a pretty humbling thing when you're just, walking around in your neighborhood and you're like on edge because, there's potentially like a life threat around the tree, around the corner.
When we talk about Alaska being extreme, would you categorize it extreme as okay, you're from Chicago, and Chicago, well, I was going to say you feel safe, but maybe not everywhere in Chicago do you feel safe. But it's not crime over there, but it's the weather, it's the animals, it's the unexpected.
Yeah, I think you have a much smaller margin for mistake in Alaska because even leaving your house, there's like inherent risk just from the wildlife around you. But once you kind of leave, like I'm in Anchorage, and you can drive for 20 minutes and all of a sudden you're in a way more secluded place. And it's just the level of access, if things go wrong, is way smaller. So you're just a lot more conscious of risk management and risk taking.
How would you categorize adventure activity, number one? And then how does that help us to stay well and to, in the mind, body, spirit, like feel invigorated? And I guess one of it is a heightened sense of awareness, which addresses the mental.
Adventure activity for me is just going outside and pushing yourself, or, using some sort of tool to help you experience the outdoors in a different way. That to me is adventure activity. And how I think that keeps us healthy or helps us be healthy in the mind, body, and spirit is, simple enough, like doing adventure activity activates your mind, your body, and your spirit. Like your mind, because you're problem solving on the fly, whether you're rock climbing, you're like having to like assess the rock, make your rope systems and then you're using your body, obviously, like every single muscle in your body to climb up this rock, using your balance and your spirit. Your spirit is just like invigorated from like not only like you challenging yourself and like feeling some success or failure from it, but you're also outside, you're breathing fresh air, you're like touching, having like tangible connections with nature. Putting ourselves in nature is kind of putting ourselves in the world's best container for healing. We came from nature. We've lived in nature like throughout our whole evolution. And, even now we still always go back to nature for, times that we want to feel at ease or at awe. And so if we're just surrounding ourselves in nature as much as we can, we're giving ourselves, the widest bandwidth of opportunity for moments of healing. Because I think it will be like a spontaneous process. And then incorporating self-challenge in that through adventure activity is kind of just like building our like self-confidence and self-love just through like completing these things that we might not have necessarily thought we could have done. And, when you do things like that repeatedly, you're just doing things that you don't think you could have done. And then you realize you can do them. You're kind of just like putting building blocks on yourself of confidence and, muscle and all these different things that are just helping your general wellness. I think, I really live by the motto that like movement is medicine. And I really think that's extremely true. And I think, being outside and doing it, you're kind of just combining two extremely healing containers, being nature and movement.
And I think a lot of, not me, because I love being outside. And my favorite place in the world is the thalassa or the ocean or the sea. And the sea is, I can just get in there and spill a splash, or I can swim, or I can wave, do the wave boards. But the thalassa or the sea is extremely therapeutic. And I just like, for example, just walking on the beach and feeling your feet. My husband calls it a puma stone on your feet, like when you touch the sand with your feet. And then you just watch a sunset or a sunrise, or you see like the little tiny waves. I'll just give you a quick example, Charlie Marks. When we were in Florida, we were on the east coast of Florida, and there was a gorgeous sunrise. And we just watched the sun come up. and the stages of the sun rising just gave us so much hope. And Brian said, that happens every single day. That happens every single day. I'm like, yeah. And we don't take advantage of that. Of course, I don't live in Florida, but so I think nature is just, I think we need to tap more into it. At least I'm saying that generally.
Well, Kiki, are you more of a sunrise person or a sunset?
You want to know which one I am?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I can't believe I'm saying this because I love mornings, but I love a gorgeous sunset.
Yeah.
But I love mornings, so I'm so conflicted. How about you?
I think I see more sunsets, but I think the days where I can see the sunrise, they have a special quality about them.
God, can I take my answer back? Sunrise? No. They're just like I just have to say they're equal because I want to retract my statement. I really feel they're equal because they each symbolize something different to me. One is the sunrise is giving you hope and joy and so much encouragement for the day, especially if it's a beautiful sunrise. And a sunset is like, hey, I did the best I could today. The sun is going down. It's time to let everything that bothered me go. It's time to rest my head because tomorrow's a new day. So I think, can I say it's equal?
Oh yeah, I would agree with you. They do have different qualities about them for sure.
Yeah. Charlie, what do you hope to do with your degree in adventure education, and how do you think you want to help people with it?
I hope to heal people with what I learned. I hope I can go out into the world and help people who have hurting inside of them. And yeah, I want to help them through that process through, in whatever way I can. That is my hope.
Stay right there. Up next, your weekly takeaway to keep it all as well. Hola Kala.
This Hola Kala moment brought to you by the law offices of Liston and Centillus. Ranked number 1 by the leading lawyers network since 2010, taking care of all your real estate needs.
People generally think of running when they think of cardio, but how about hiking? Hiking doesn't have to be in tall mountains. It can be done on small hills or dirt roads and forest. Hiking is most fun in a scenic environment. My favorite hike ever was last summer in the mountains during Path of Gods along the steep cliffs on the coastal town of Positano, Italy. It was breathtaking. A descriptive illustration would look like this. We hiked about 500 miles above sea level between rocky passages, Mediterranean vegetation, forests of oaks and terraces meet on steep slopes. Wow, happy I made it up and down alive. Hola Kala, all is well when you just hike for the beauty and movement of it.
Kiki Vale is the founder of Kefi Life. She is passionate about whole person wellness and living a fulfilled life. Her Kefi Life podcast is created to simply and naturally help you harmonize the mind, body, and soul the Greek way. Visit KefiLife.com, at KefiLife365 on Instagram, and check out Kiki Vale on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Join us again next time for more positive energy and inspiration on Kefi Life.